Hi y'all, I'm Allison. I have been so lost without this scene. I've been writing notes on little scrap pieces of paper. February 16th, and I just finished setting up my reading journal for the year. It's finally ready. My year can begin. I'll show you what took me so long to fill this in and show y'all how it looks with January's information. There are a lot of pages. I do want to point out real quick, in case anybody is new to bullet journaling, one thing I do with my index, you'll see like on here, we've got the end, year at a glance, and I put a slash to say book finish. So sometimes I'll put a little extra information. And also down here, like we've got the 2023 reading goals and titles. It starts on page 34 to 35, but then we skip on page 40, 41. So that's what I do if it continues somewhere else in the book. I just put the additional pages after the name of the page. So I just thought that might be useful for anybody else if you actually use your index. Half the time I do this and I don't even bother to use it. I just flip to find what I want, but it is here. Here is my cover page, pretty much a standard for what I've been doing for now the past 3 years. There was already a whole bunch of stuff I changed, so I just went with the tried and true on my cover and changed it up a little bit for this year. This will be a recap for 2023. I was really happy with how the 2022 worked out, so this is kind of what I have in mind to make it a little bit easier on myself when it's time to wrap up the year. And this will be for stats and standouts. Again, more 2023 with some notes of things that I might add, telling me where to look, and just some ideas. Here is something brand new. We're doing a battle of the books this time. And these are little demos. Just I wanted to see if it would fit and how it would look. I am going to print out little miniature copies of the books that make this list and have it run down here like a film strip. So I'm excited to see how that'll work. These aren't the books, obviously. You'll notice I've got 16 lines here. And yes, there are only 12 months in the year, but I have a really hard time picking just one favorite book of the month. So what I'm going to be doing is allowing myself one extra per quarter, which gives us our extra 4 lines. Because I wanted my brackets to come down to 2 books at the end. So I needed an extra set down here. And I thought that was the perfect way to do it. So every 3 months, I'll get to pick one of those extra books and put it in here. And to determine what line it's going to be on, I haven't decided yet. I'm either going to roll a die or I'm going to use a number generator. That way I won't, as we get later on in the year, be able to predict what book I'm going to be going up against as I'm reading. So this should keep it all random. Once this is all filled in and it narrows down, we'll have 2 books here. And we turn the page. And this will be a big picture of the cover of our winner, with a space for me to journal extra about the book, what made it so special to me. I also have a backup plan if I can't decide, between these 2 or even these 4. I've got space down here if I want to, say, okay, this one won, but these followed closely behind. So I've got some wiggle room here. Here is the end at a glance. This is something brand new that I thought might be kind of fun to do. Obviously a year calendar. And as I finish a book, I'm going to mark the date. I'll probably put like a color circle. And this will show me how frequently I'm actually finishing the book. I think this will be really fun to see at the end of the year, or it's going to be like, why did I bother? But I'm curious to see. And I haven't decided yet. I've got down here, I might go monochromatic or, one color, various shades, or I might just use one color for the whole year. I haven't quite worked that out. And that's another thing I do. I leave notes for myself in pencil all the time. Here is something new this year as well. For 21 and 2022, I was doing a genre blanket tracking the books as I read them. I'm still working on it, but I haven't touched it in a long time. And 2023 will not be on that blanket. So this is a way for me to continue tracking by genres, because it's kind of cool to see the trends that I go in and out of. So here is my color coding. I will be coloring this in with colored pencils. And here is the color palette I'll be using, the Prismacolor. I write down the pencil number. And here's for the rest of them. I did leave, you'll notice over here, if the camera will pick it up, I've got a little frame with pencil to show DNFs. This shelf will be the books that I DNF, don't finish for the year, by genre. But I didn't, sorry, Lily's downstairs and I'm up. So anyway, I didn't do this in pen, just in case I need this space for more books to be read. My options are open. And here we get into my monthly stats. This is something I've been doing for the past couple years. Did it a little different this year, added a very pale pink, since it's the only color on there, and it looks pretty vibrant. And let me show you the difference that made. Hey, exact same layout without the pink background, minus this stuff up top. But isn't that change? It's just amazing what a little bit of color in the background can do. So even if you're not artistic, you can still dress up your books with minimal effort. Just do a very pale color, because as you color it in, it's going to look much darker. And then we go on to the genre graphs. Here is where I keep track of age demographic, and then the genres. And I like seeing, you know, if I'm hitting one more than the other. You may notice there is no romance in here. So my romance books, I either put it under contemporary or historical fiction. And if a book spans multiple genres, then I just kind of pick the one that's most prevalent and go that way. So there we go. Here is something new that I'm adding this year. Thought it might be fun to see how many different authors I read in a year, and to know at a glance how many of them were my first time reading. So I'll have a star over here if it's a new to me author. And as I read through the year, I will just write down the authors in order as I pick up the book. If it's somebody that I'm going back to and reading a second book by them, I'm just going to put a tally mark next to their name. So again, this will either be really interesting at the end of the year, or I'll be like, I'm not going to bother with it next year. But I thought it might be a fun addition. And here is my pre-order release dates calendar. Haven't filled these in yet because I haven't had time to look to see what's coming. But again, very simple design, straightforward. I love the clean look. And this is a very pale blue, but it reads much darker because there's nothing else on the page. This is the exact same layout as last year. And look at the difference. There's that. And here is this. So of course, this is different. I learned not to add color because I use color a lot during the year. But there you go, just color your background. Now we've got Wishlist, and I put a black mark to note this is completely separate, and this is my 5-star predictions. On my wish list, as I think of the books or hear about them, I'm going to write them down with the author, who it was recommended by, and if I read it, then I'll put the date. This little circle is for if I buy the book, and I will use the color of the month to show that. And title and author. These are obviously 5-star predictions, and I'll put the final rating there to see if it lived up to that expectation or not. Self-explanatory, new books is where I'm going to track them. Hopefully keep myself in check this year. And here is unhauled with, I like this column. That's why I got rid of it. And then I added an area for archived for ones on Audible or my Nook. We got another one that's coming back this year, and this is for flops and DNFs. These are for books that I give 1 or 2 stars, or ones that I just flat out quit and do not finish. So I'll put the book number if it's finished, and then a title and author, and then a reason below that. And this will just be a brief reason, because when I do my monthly review, then I'll get into more detail. But this is just kind of at a glance. And here is the Mack Daddy of all of the spreads. This is my reading goal tracker. As I read a book, color it in with the color of the month. and list the title down here. And here's where our colors of the month come into play that I keep talking about. This is my master key. And it also, when I refer to a book later in the book, or like we were talking about with the flops and DNFs, when I had the number, it's referring to this master number list. So number 1, I would put number 1 if I start the year with a flop. And I did change this from last year. I split it horizontally. So before, in fact, both 2 years, I've done it this way, where all the numbers are here and my titles get added here. So I thought it would be fun to shake it up this year, and we're going this way instead. So nice little change. I did try to work on my spacing this year, so I took the time to map out where my printed covers will be, and I'm going to be writing the numbers sideways. That way when I get into triple digits, it's not trying to be crammed right over here. And I've got the star rating underneath. I also moved everything up to hopefully get some better spacing down the page. One thing is, this lists up to 66 books, but 32 fit on each of these, so I will be ending with book 64 here. But I'm not going to worry about that. It'll just, book 65 and 66 will be in the next section. Because here's where we go. Continue on, same old, and then I'll actually be starting with 65 here. So that'll put me to 96, and then we'll have 128. My goal this year is 120. The past couple of years, I've been reading 165, 166 books a year, so I'm planning to tone it back dramatically this year, but we will see. I want to be able to make videos instead of just reading constantly. In case I go over that, I left myself space to add more blocks and titles and covers, or I can use this for something else. Now we get into this series tracker. I'm much happier with this than how I've been in the past. They've been kind of a mess. Here was the first one, hot mess. Here was last year's, bit of an improvement. Here's that color scheme I was talking about. So this year, I'm liking this. I think it's much cleaner and neater, and I made them bigger. And then down here, for all of the little novellas and everything that got thrown in, I have a key. And I did that for Stephanie Plum as well, because I have all of these in a bind up, but I want to read them in publication order. So that tells me when I should pick up my little novella and read it. Still have some spacing issues. I decided to move this down a little bit to center it more, but this was already drawn in, so this is up too high, but it's okay. And I'll just fill them in as I go. And we've got room for more. Since these are so much bigger, I will probably have to thread by putting a page number down here and an arrow somewhere later in the book when I run out of space. And here is something else that's new. I was getting sub boxes. I have canceled. I'm going to have a couple more trickling in as the subscriptions finish. These are all the ones that I have not read yet, and it's gotten way out of hand. So I've canceled them, and I'm going to keep track. And these I want to kind of make priorities and get these read. So it's when they came in and the final rating for them. I did pretty good for 2021. Well, not all great junior, or I did good with Once Upon a Book Club for 2021, and then it just all, I haven't been reading Owl Crate at all, so it was just becoming clutter and more stuff. Down here, like I said, there's a couple more boxes trickling in, and that's what that's for. As I read them, I am going to use the color of a month and you do a very thin line to mark it, so there will hopefully be some color added on this as I read them, and that's what this little note is about. Here's something new I'm really excited about, reading across the USA. So what I'm going to do, and this is not an active challenge, this is more of a tracker. As I'm reading my books, I'm going to keep track of where they're set, and I'm going to color in my map and see how many of the states I go to this year. I haven't decided if I will mark it for multiples, simply because I'm going to be doing this with a colored pencils, and you know, colored pencils and pen don't actually always go together well, but we will see. So I'm excited to see how this turns out. And when we flip the page, I've also have for going abroad. Next year I'll probably add European and global maps and things like that, but for now, I know one of my books was in England, so I'm just put Europe, and then I'll list the countries as I go in order. If I have Africa down here, maybe Asia, I'll show, you know, I'll group them kind of by continent or region. And I think that this will be fun to see just how far around the world I'm going. These are for the extra challenges that I'll be doing. And I'm going to be doing Aurelium by Gia Book Roast. So here are the extra stuff I've got to catch up. In Season-a-thon by Completely Melanie. So she's got her spring one coming out. We need bingos. So this is just going to be like an overview. And I might put Buddy rates down here, but I haven't decided yet. So I've got a little note on that. Speaking of Aurelium. Oh, no, not yet. Got a buzzword tracker. So here is my little pictures for the buzzword. As I read it, I put a line this time so I can write the title in, and I'll add color to each square. I've been doing this since I started, and these are so fun. These become a priority for me. I make a point to read all of these so I can color in my pages. And I love how Read Your Bookshelf, she changed it. So, because we start here, and then we go on to this one. So this prompt relates back to this, and so on. So it starts with A or the, and then I have to find a complementary color from this color scheme. And then I have to go to the next letter in the alphabet from what this started with. So, and then we go down here. So I made it like a flow chart, and this is where it'll end up. And I'm excited for this. This was fun. It was fun to come up with this page as well. And then we've got TBR Knockout by Completely Melanie. I have stuck with my books. I love seeing how these turn out at the end of the year when they're all colored in. And I kind of messed up here. This was supposed to come out one, but it's okay. This is supposed to be like cartoon panels, so some of this stuff kind of goes over it. And I just add the title on the book or on the spine, and I try to match the color to the actual color of the book. And then we've got something new this year. So this is Aurelium's backstory stuff from Gia Book Roast. I printed out her printables, and soon I will be doing a video on this stuff. So I can create my character here, and these are the reading prompts that I have to do. And I have an idea for a special video for this. And I tape these in. So this is like an insert. Here's where I will choose my guilds, and this is my guild tiers tracker. So I'm really happy with this, and I'm looking forward to doing this project. I've got some things in mind. I'm hoping to have this done before the spring semester in April, but we will see. Because I'm also doing Choose Your Adventures as part of this, and Elliot, I believe it was. So under here, so here's the prompts. You start with, you pick left or right, and then you go down and you make decisions at the end. So this is a year-long, one book a month. And underneath is where I have where I'm going to be keeping track. So I'll write my choice, what the prompt was, and what book it was. And I'm going to have to use different washi. It's not thick enough. So I glued that other page down. So this is very warped, and it's not liking it. I should have done a sticker. But anyway, I love this. I'm excited about it. And I have some good ideas for videos with this, so hopefully y'all will enjoy it as well. And I will put the links for all of these challenges down in the description in case anybody wants to join. I left some space, I think, for she's got gearing up stuff or something else comes up. And then we are finally to my first monthly tracker. We are on page 68, and here is my setup for January. Nice clean look at it before all of the chaos happens. So, and now that I've done this, I can go and fill this in and set up February, because after here, then I will start writing my notes on each book that I've read. Okay, I hope y'all enjoy this and you have some ideas for your own reading journals. I will be back as soon as I get January's pages in, and I'm going to go ahead and film a very quick flip through on that so you can see how the book changed with the color, because it makes a huge difference. And then you'll get an idea of all of my trackers and everything in action. I also will be putting up soonish a look at my TBR binder with my stickers and my other parts of my system that I'm still doing, but they're a little behind. And we haven't discussed those since I first set them up back in 2021. So keep an eye on that if you're enjoying the bullet journal content. All right. I hope you have some ideas, and let me know if you are doing your own reading journals, and if you are, where I can see them. All right. Y'all have a great one, and I'll catch you next time. Bye now.